largest insurance provider, has announced it will discontinue coverage for 72,000 homes and apartments across the state this summer.
What?
That move comes 9 months after the company announced it would not issue new home policies in the state.
KTLA 5's Omar Lewis is in Hollywood with the story for us.
State Farm is now blaming rising costs and increased risk of catastrophe in California and outdated regulations as the reasons why it will not be renewing California policies for 72,000 homes and apartments beginning later this summer. Officials are now concerned that this will inflate housing costs for affected California residents, many of whom are already still recovering from wildfires over the years. This non-renewal announcement from State Farm will impact 30,000 home insurance policies along with 42,000 commercial apartment policies. Many of the country's largest home insurers began scaling back coverage in California after we saw destructive wildfires following a prolonged drought in recent years. 14 of the state's 20 most destructive wildfires on record happened in the last 10 years, and that's when insurers began making changes. This also comes as the state's elected insurance commissioner begins a year-long overhaul of home insurance regulation, which hopes to calm California's volatile insurance market. The company not saying where the impacted policies are located and what criteria they plan to use to pick which policies will not be renewed, but experts say those who will be dropped are almost certain to be properties considered a high risk for wildfires and other catastrophes. Property owners who lose their coverage will likely be left with no option but the California Fair Plan.
What? Welcome back to What TV. It's your boy Ace. We're going to run right into it because the people of California and Florida, they need help, people, because we see with global warming, right? And the changes in the climate, California, fires, snow, flood, warm weather, hot weather, and we're talking about all in 1 week. Yes, people, all in 1 week. They get snow, they get fire, they get everything. Rain for 4 or 5 days. I mean, the weather in especially the southern part of California is insane. We see it, mudslides everywhere. I mean, people in California are not safe. 80,000 people are going to lose insurance. Their homes are being victimized. And people are saying this one policy, companies backing out, is going to affect the housing market. Yes, they said the housing market is in potential risk to go down. Let me know your thoughts, because we see people in Florida, they have to live in their vans. They might as well become migrants, because migrants is in hotels living better than them. And they're living in their cars because of home insurance. Let us know your thoughts, man. It's crazy. Let us know your thoughts.
That's the state-created private insurance pool.
State Farm have what are called captive agents. And what that means is the agents can only write with State Farm. What that means is you might have a State Farm policy and love your agent for 40 years. You get this non-renewal notice. Your State Farm agent can't shop around and trying to find coverage for you elsewhere.
So the question is, what should you do if you're one of the 72,000 dropped policies? Here are some tips that insurance experts say you should follow. They say start shopping for that new policy immediately. Even if you'll likely be given a 60-day notice, it can be difficult and a long process, so you don't want to waste any time. If you find a new policy that checks all the boxes, take it immediately. Do not wait until your State Farm policy expires, even if there's an overlap. Lastly, call the California Department of Insurance or use their website, insurance.ca.gov, to get information about resources like the California Fair Plan.
Wow. You hear it there, people. California State Farm, they are out. They are like In-N-Out Burger. If Oakland, they're gone in 60 seconds. I'm telling you, State Farm is out, leaving many homeowners without any insurance. And when we're seeing floods and rain happening, creating so much destruction, homeowners are at risk. So let's jump to to Florida, because if you think this is a game, it has severe impact. People are living in their vans.
This particular vehicle is not really set up for long term. I threw a bed in here, I've got clothes, I've got, what's left of my cooking gear.
This is the real-world impact of Florida's insurance crisis. People being forced to live in their cars. Insurance rates in Florida are nearly 3 times higher than the national average.
NBC2 chief political reporter Dave Elias shows us how the rising rates are impacting people in our community firsthand.
While many of us scramble to come up with that extra money to meet the rising home insurance costs, for others, it's simply too late. And now many people are wondering if this black cloud hanging over the state of Florida is far worse than many realize.
The big picture of housing insurance, oh, I know it's a thing for those who need it, but not for me.
This isn't the home on the water that Ann Rose pictured for herself.
This is my home insurance. My insurance on my vehicle is my home insurance. This is my home.
She's part of a growing community forced to live in her vehicle.
There are many vehicles such as myself that I recognize that are housing people as opposed to allowing them to be in a normal sticks and bricks.
Our cameras spotted others in this North Fort Myers park living in their vehicles.
I mean, being on Social Security isn't going to get me very far.
Yep, you see it, and we already doing it. I'm telling you, if you are on a fixed income, right, in certain parts of the country, you're doomed. I'm telling you, we have to wake up because this is happening now. What about later? What about tomorrow? What about our future? People, let us know. Our single people, forget about people who are married, our single people, let us know, how are you going to survive on a fixed income when you living in certain parts of these of the country? Your housing, your taxing, HOA fees, homeowner insurance, all that stuff is going up, man. All of it is going up. How can you survive on a structured income like Social Security? You can't. Let us know your thoughts, man. It's vicious out there.
Security isn't going to get me very far, you know? So, you know, I do what I can.
Situations like hers have many asking lawmakers if they can do more.
If I could just wave a magic wand.
And while Florida lawmakers took some action last year, it hasn't stopped rates from increasing.
Sometimes I see 4 families living in a 3-bedroom home because that's the only way they can afford it.
And while the state doesn't seem likely to do more,
I'd love for people, for them to offer, $1 a year or whatever, but the government can't set that.
now a federal bill introduced could cut rates by 25% as it covers reinsurance that companies pay. That's insurance to cover their cost if a big storm hits, but there is little support for it.
What do? You know what I mean? Like, you either pay it or you roll the dice, and then if a catastrophe does happen, you'll lose more.
As seniors like Ann Rose are most vulnerable.
Things could be worse. And I have to just say, I'm thankful to have this.
And
yes, you are. And we hopefully you get more, okay? Because we see migrants all across the country. They're getting credit cards. They're staying in plush hotels. And we have citizens like this young lady who can't survive off a fixed income like Social Security. They can't do it, man. And they're living out their vans while we have migrants getting credit cards. Things that make you say what? Things that make you say what? Listen. This situation is very serious going down in Florida. We've seen housing prices, rent, everything like that is exploding in Florida. Because if you don't know, you used to be able to rent, like, let's say Orlando. There's certain parts of Orlando you could have just rent a house for like $1,200, $1,300 a couple of years ago. Gone are the days. Trust me, I know because I know. All right. Those same houses right now, we renting them out. They're going for $3,000, $2,500. I'm telling you, man, it's getting critical. I think Florida needs to explore having more double-decker houses, like multifamily homes, because single-family homes, you're getting murdered. I'm telling you, you're getting murdered. They want $3,000, $2,500 for a single-family home. So you're right. They have about 2 to 3 family now squeezing inside homes. That's what's happening in Florida because people can't afford it. So if you're single and you're on a fixed income and you don't have a big bag, you're doomed. Let us know your thoughts. So is Florida this place for retirement still? I don't know if you're single. Maybe if you have a family, but let me know your thoughts.